Okay, so we're on the first page, where it says, yes? Third paragraph, Kaf Gimel.
Kaf Gimel?
Yes.
From the bottom. Got it.
ואמר בחלבו,
Hello, Mr. Joe.
אמר אבונה, לעולם ייזהר אדם בתפילת המנחה. Look, the tefillat mincha, the Gemara says you should be careful when you pray mincha. So let me explain what that means. First of all, the main point of the tefillah is not the words that you're saying. Of course, the words are essential for the tefillah, but the words without the proper state of mind are meaningless, right? So one of the things that is necessary for the tefillah to be considered even a prayer is a person has to focus his mind towards Yerushalayim, towards the Bet HaMikdash, towards the heavenly domain, right? So when you're standing in prayer, you really have to take a moment, stop, and understand where you're actually standing, not physically standing, where you're actually standing.
Rabbi, you referring to all prayer or just Amidah?
The Amidah. Yes, it's good that you made that point. Of course, when I say tefillah, I'm referring to the Amidah. Thank you for that. And the point is, of course, the prayer, to your question, is a way to bring us to that place, right? But you're correct. If a person saying, okay, whatever, you're not thinking. But then during the Amidah, you're focused as you should be. Then you fulfill the obligation of the tefillah, right?
But
So
you're really looking for ammunition to beat up the people as they're talking before the Amidah. He's the Chazal, like, quiet.
Yeah. Okay. And now, here's the thing. The most difficult prayer to achieve this type of focus is tefillat mincha, because it happens in the middle of the day. And in the middle of the day, we're all working, and as a result, to tell a person, okay, stop, detach yourself, disconnect, and now put yourself in that place where the tefillah will be accepted, that's very difficult. And that's what the Chachamim say, le'olam yizaher adam b'tfilat mincha, be extra careful with tefillat mincha, because you are obligated to pray mincha, but if you don't have the proper kavanah, it's as if you didn't pray. Shareh, by the way, Harambam goes so far as to say, even though we don't do this, Halakha say we don't do this, I'll tell you in a moment why we don't do this, but Harambam goes so far as to say that if a person prays and didn't have kavanah, he did not fulfill his obligation, and he has to pray a second time. During the first beracha, right? During the first beracha, you got a person setting up the Amidah, there's 19 berachot, right? The first beracha is Magen Abraham. During that beracha, Harambam says, if you didn't have the proper concentration, you didn't have the proper focus, and you prayed, you didn't fulfill the obligation, you should pray a second time. We don't make Pesach Halacha like that. You know why we don't make Pesach Halacha like Harambam? Because it's also the second time around. You will have kavanah the third time. Why? He's going to give you any people who don't have kavanah. So if you don't have kavanah, what's the difference? But that's a halacha, meaning Harambam is right. What Harambam is saying is actually correct. But tefillat mincha, you're in your office, your dental office, your ceramic, whatever you do, like in your various endeavors in life, a lawyer, data privacy, myself. So it's like, yeah, suddenly I have to get up and pray. Like, wow, like how are you going to do that?
That's a big deal though, because he's like super concerned about Berachah Levatala. So for him to say that means it was really important, you know?
Right, 100%. Yes, absolutely.
Because usually he'll go the other way.
So, yes, correct. So that's the point of Tefillat Mincha. Now, to give you an example, Eliyahu lo ne'ena ela b'tefillat mincha. Eliyahu Navi had a very specific prayer to Hashem. I'm going to explain the background so you understand what happened. But his prayer, he chose Tefillat Mincha to make the prayer. He could have chosen Tefillat Shachrit, he could have chosen Tefillat Avi. He specifically chose Mincha. Now let me tell you what happened with Eliyahu Navi and what it was that he prayed to Hashem. The background. We're now several centuries after the death of King David. During the days of the First Commonwealth, the nation of Israel has split into two. You have the northern kingdom of Israel, which is run by a government that endorses paganism. That's the northern kingdom, and those are the 10 tribes that eventually, these 10 tribes, they are expelled from the land of Israel, and never again do they return to the land of Israel. That's why they're called the 10 lost tribes, okay? So we kind of lost track of what happened to them. I suspect that somehow they reintegrated into the Jewish people, but that's neither here nor there. They never returned. So you have the northern kingdom of Israel indulging in paganism, and God sends Eliyahu Hanavi to these people, and Eliyahu Hanavi makes the following declaration. So Eliyahu Hanavi is paying a shiva call to this person, and what happened with this person is that when Joshua conquered the city of Yericho, right? Joshua conquers the city of Yericho, and at that time, because it was the first city that the Jewish people conquered when they entered Israel, right after the death of Moshe Rabbeinu, Yoshua enters the land of Israel. The first city they conquered is the city of Yericho, and they conquer it on Shabbat. So it was a miracle, it happened on Shabbat. So Yoshua decides to make the city of Yericho Cherem. Cherem means it's holy unto God. So he makes a curse. And he says, if anybody ever builds a city again, or tries to build the city of Yericho, he's going to dig the foundations with his first son, meaning the first son will die, and then as the city is rebuilt, every one of these person who's building the city, the children will die, Bar Minan, and then finally, when he puts the Sha'arim, when he puts the gates of the city, the last son is going to die as well. The youngest son is going to die, right? So, I'm sorry?
Why does he do this?
Because he declared that the city is Cherem. What does Cherem mean? Cherem means holy unto God, right? If a person says that a person today has property, he says it's Cherem, it goes to the Kohen, right? But he doesn't say that. He says this is Cherem for God, and therefore it's forbidden to ever again build the city. Meaning it's a sacred city. Nobody's allowed to build it. And that was a curse, and he put a curse. He didn't want anybody violating this.
Because it was conquered on Shabbat, he feels bad?
For two reasons. Number one, it was conquered on Shabbat through miracles. Number two. Number three, it was the first city they conquered in Israel. So it's like before you eat food, you take terumah and you give it to God.
Okay.
Or to the Kohen, I'm sorry. But it's holy. So this is like, the first city is like the terumah that Yoshua bin Nun took out of Israel. And he said, this is holy unto God. So what happened? There was a guy called Chiel Bet Ha'eli. That was his name, Chiel. Guy's like a secular Jew. Whatever, he believes in paganism, doesn't believe in the Torah. And he wants to show everybody that you can't take the Torah seriously. And don't forget, this is the northern kingdom of Israel. The king at this time is a person called Ahab. Ahab is the king. He's one of the three kings. She'en lehem chelek l'olam haba. Okay? Fine. Ahab has no chelek l'olam haba, but at this point in time, maybe he would have had chelek l'olam haba. It don't matter. So now, what happens to Chiel? This guy says, I'm going to rebuild the city of Jericho. Like, come on, stop with this old, superstition, like a superstitious belief. We're not enough. That's our primitive ancestors believe this. And so he rebuilds the city. And the Pasuk says exactly what happened. As he dug the foundation of the city, he had a child called Abiram. That was his firstborn. He died. And over the course of building the city, he builds and builds and builds. And finally, when he puts the gates to the city, and every time he said, it's a coincidence, it's a coincidence, oh, no, it's a coincidence. And finally, they has one son left, Majnun case, he puts the gates to the city, the one son, the youngest son died. Elohim Yishmor. These people are crazy. I mean, no, the truth, I'm saying, the people who go against the Torah, Jews who go against the Torah are crazy. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about irreligious Jews. I'm talking about Jews who, there's a certain type of Jew who's anti. I'm referring to that, right? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't think anybody misunderstood me here. So he had his youngest son was Seguv. Seguv was buried as the city of Yericho was built. Okay, finishes building the city. Eliyahu Hanavi decides to go pay a shiva call. He feels bad. He's there. And Ahab, the king, is there. Okay, Ahab is there. Eliyahu Hanavi is there. And Eliyahu Hanavi says, you shouldn't have built the city of Yericho. It was a mistake. You shouldn't have done it. So Ahab is there. He says, well, why? He says, well, because, Yehoshua placed a curse that anybody builds a city of Yericho, they're going to lose their children. Ahab says, there's somebody greater than Yehoshua. His name was Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu, he also placed a curse. He said, if people do Avodah Zarah, right? If people do Avodah Zarah in the Kriyat Shema right there, that what's going to happen is God is going to stop the rain. There's going to be no more rain. Now he says, who's greater, Yehoshua or Moshe? Moshe is greater. Okay, here in the northern Israel, there's Avodah Zarah all over the place. And Achaz says, I have to run in the morning to the temple of Avodah Zarah to do Avodah Zarah. I run every morning. Lately, there's been so much rain that I have to pick up my garments so the garments don't get wet in the mud. So I'm running in the rain to the place of Avodah Zarah. And meanwhile, you're telling me about the curse of Yehoshua. How about you tell me about the curse of Moshe Rabbeinu? So don't tell me stories, right? So this is what Ahav is telling Eliyahu Navi. So Eliyahu Navi gets very angry. And he says, okay, this is the way you're talking. So I have news for you. There's going to be no more rain unless I say there's going to be rain. Ki'im lefi davari. Literally, he uses those words. If I say there's going to be rain, there's going to be rain. Until that moment, there's going to be no rain. The rain stops. The rain stops. The dew stops. Terrible famine. There's no water. People are dying. Meanwhile, this Ahav wants to hunt down Eliyahu Navi. He wants to hunt him because in his mind, he's saying, this guy insulted the Baal. He insulted the God that brings rain he insulted the pagan God. So because this guy insulted the pagan God, now I have an obligation to hunt him down and kill him, and that's the only way that we can have expiation for the Averah that we did against the pagan God, not against the Almighty. You understand? You can never win. Just so you know, I want to give you some advice. You can never win an argument against an ideologue. You can't win. Doesn't matter what happens, what you do, you always lose an argument. Not lose, you're dealing with a nut job. You're not going to convince the nut job that he's a nut job, right? Nobody wants to hear that. So Ahav is a nut job. He's convinced that Eliyahu Navi insulted the pagan god of rain, and now there's no rain. And there really is no rain. So finally, they're hunting him down. He goes to every city and every country around Israel. Where's Eliyahu Navi? Find the guy. Eliyahu Navi was hiding out. Okay, whatever. He was somewhere in Lebanon, actually, as it turns out. And finally, God tells Eliyahu Navi, it's time to return, and meet Achav. So one day, Eliyahu Navi is walking in Israel, from Lebanon to Israel, and he runs into a person called Obadiah. Obadiah was looking for water. He was looking for water, looking for grass for the animals or something. So Achav is in one place, Obadiah is in another place. Eliyahu Navi tells Obadiah, listen, take me to Achav. Tell Achav to come here, and I want to talk to him. Obadiah looks at Eliyahu Navi, says, you want me now to go to Achav and say, I saw Eliyahu Navi, and instead of catching him and bringing him to the king, instead of that, we're going to come to you, and where are you going to be? The wind is going to bring you up somewhere, and we're going to disappear, and then he's going to kill me. Right. He says, no, just tell Achav to come and meet me. I promise you I'm going to be here. So he comes, and they reach an agreement. The agreement is as follows. There's going to be a showdown. You, Achav, what do you say? The Baal was insulted. Oh my gosh, you insulted the Baal. Wow, what a terrible thing. Okay, I'm telling you, there's going to be no rain unless I say there's going to be rain. And it's not, no Avodah Zarah was insulted. They're not real. It's the God of Israel was insulted. You said what you said, and that's when it stopped raining. So this is, let's have a showdown. Let's go to Har Carmel. They can't do it in Jerusalem because Jerusalem is under the control of the southern kingdom. They're not doing it in Jerusalem. They're in the northern kingdom. Let's go to Har Carmel. Let's have a showdown in Har Carmel. You bring your Nevi'eh Baal, and I'm going to be there alone. I don't need a whole entourage. I don't need any special, things. So we're going to have a showdown. Bring all the people, right? You come, Mr. Achav, and I want to settle for once and for all. Who is the one true God? You understand the showdown? Okay, so this is a showdown in Har Carmel. By the way, according to Halakha, you're not allowed to bring Korban any place except in Jerusalem. But this is called the Hora'at Sha'ah. It was a special, a Navi is allowed to violate a law in the Torah on a temporary basis for a specific emergency reason. Normally, nobody's allowed to violate any law in the Torah. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. But a Navi is allowed to do a Hora'at Sha'ah. I'll give you an example, Mordechai. Mordechai was the head of the Sanhedrin, so he did Hora'at Sha'ah. If you do the calculation, when did they fast? That 3-day fast. The 3-day fast came out on Pesach. How are you doing a 3-day fast? The first night of Pesach, he's supposed to be eating matzah. Were you telling people not to have matzah? It's Hora'at Sha'ah. He was allowed to do that because he was the head of the Sanhedrin. So the Sanhedrin could do Hora'at Sha'ah. We're temporarily suspending the law of eating matzah. Why? because we have this emergency, anti-Semitism, pogrom, whatever they want to do. So Eliyahu Navi does the Hora'at Sha'ah. He says, Hara Carmel, it's not going to become sanctified. We're going to bring him Mizbeach there. So
You
they
said Sanhedrin or Navi?
both
So they
Sanhedrin
both have to do it.
and the Navi. That's correct. Both the Sanhedrin and the Navi can do a Hora'at Sha'ah. Okay, very good. So what happened? They go to Hara Carmel. The Nevi'e Baal, Eliyahu Navi says, Tfadalu bechavod, please, you go first. Who am I, go. So they have the Mizbeach there, and they bring the animal, and the challenge is, let the fire descend from heaven. Okay? They had a guy, magician, he was hiding, and he was going to light a fire from under. He was like hiding in and by the way, the magicians are fabulous. You ever see some of these magicians? David Blaine, they're fabulous. They do like crazy things. Okay, so they're going to light a fire. Hashem sent a snake. The guy got bitten by a snake, got killed. Okay, now these Nevi'e Baal, there's 400 of them. They're jumping up and down. They're dancing. I don't know, during the Hora, whatever they're doing, back and forth and back and this. They're singing to the Baal. And like nothing's happening. Meanwhile, they're like the guy's supposed to light the fire, but he's dead. Okay? So he's dead. So Eliyahu Navi is finally telling them, listen, you guys, you're not screaming enough. Don't forget the Baal, it's afternoon now, siesta. He could be sleeping. Start screaming more loudly. They start screaming and this and that. They're like, take him seriously. They don't realize the guy's there. The dachak, he's making a joke of them. They start slashing themselves with knives. Blood is dripping all over the place. And nothing is happening. The sun is going to set soon. Eliyahu Navi says, listen, you had your chance. Is it okay if I do my thing? Please do your thing. Eliyahu Navi goes to the Mizbeach. He cleans it up. It's all disgraced. They're stomping and jumping and this. He cleans up everything. And he says 3 words. And this is what the Gemara is going to say. And it was Tefilat Mincha. This was Tefilat Mincha. And it says, Vahi ba'alot mincha. As it was coming time for mincha, meaning it was soon. The sun was going to set soon, right? Vahi ba'alot mincha. This is in. Let me read it to you from the pasuk. Pasuk lamed vav, and you have it in the Gemara. Vahi ba'alot mincha. Vayigash Eliyahu hanavi. Eliyahu Navi goes towards the mizbeach. Vayomar. Adonai Elohei Avraham Yitzhak veYisrael hayom yivada ki ata elim beYisrael. The God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakob. That's the best way. I love that. You don't need to be a philosopher to understand that, right? You can say the God who created the universe, the creator of the cosmos. Just make it simple. The God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakob. Every Jew understands that, right? Hayom yivada ki ata Elohim b'Yisrael. Today, everybody is going to know that you are the one true God of Israel, right? Va'ani abdecha, and I am your servant. I am Eliyahu Navi. And when I said there will be no rain, it was for your honor that I said there would be no rain because I insulted you. Right. And there was no rain.
I'm glad he addressed that.
What?
I'm glad he addressed
yes.
that.
Yes.
Because had he not, it's almost like he put God on the spot. Are you going to back me up? I said something. Now you got to stop the rain.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. We're not sure if he told. Was behind that plan. Wait. Did I tell you to say these words to stop the rain? I don't know if I wanted to do that. So, but he said, I did it for this reason.
Everything I did was for your honor.
Okay.
And then pursuant to your instructions even. And then he says the 3 words that we say always, let's say, Yom Kippur, we say the Selichot Anenu Elohei Abraham, right? It's from here. What? Yeah. Aneni Adonai Aneni. Please, God, answer me. Please answer me. These people, this nation should know that you are the true ruler of the world. The Navi accuses God and he says, and by the way, you're the reason that their heart was turned. Okay? Neither here nor there. The Gemara, that's a different question. Why Eliyahu Navi said that, what it means, what God told Eliyahu Navi later on. But okay, it was tense. So the Gemara says, why does it say Aneni twice? Answer me, God. Answer me. Aneni shetered esh min hashamayim. Number 1, let the fire descend from heaven. That was the challenge. But number 2, and more importantly, va'aneni shelo yomiru ma'asher chesafim hem. Don't let them accuse me of having done magic. They were doing magic. But they're always the people who are criminal, of guilty of something, they're always projected on their adversary. You know the people who commit genocide, who want to kill every single Jew? Hamas, they say, oh, you Jews, you're genocide, right? You're baby killers. Right? You're the ones who actually intentionally kill babies. And you're accusing us of doing what you actually do. So Eliyahu Navi understands this element of human psychology, and he understands these people are a bunch of crooks and tricksters. So what are they going to do when the fire comes from the heaven? They're going to accuse me of being a crook and a trickster. You understand? So he said, it's not enough to do the miracle, but I want you to dispel the very possibility that they will accuse me of having done this through some sort of magic. Please don't let them do that. Right? So, right.
That's the voice I heard.
So now, just to finish the story, because the Gemara assumes that you know it, I'll just finish the story. But Tipol Esh Adonai, a fire literally just falls from the sky. It eats up all the korban, it eats up all the wood, it eats up all the stones, it eats up all the soil, even the water, because Eliyahu Navi, before he brought the korban, he poured the whole area with water. He filled it up with water. Everything was eaten up by the fire. And then Eliyahu Navi eventually he captures the Nevi'ah Baal, he kills them all, he slaughters them, and then immediately he tells Ahab, now it's going to rain, so you better go back to your palace because you're going to get stuck in a rain. So he actually gets stuck in a rainstorm. But at the moment that Eliyahu Navi says, let there be rain, the rain comes. Okay? So that's the story. That's the Tefilat Mincha. So we associate Tefilat Mincha with the prayer of Eliyahu Hanavi. And Eliyahu Hanavi was answered at that time. So the recommendation of the Chachamim is be careful when you pray Mincha. It's a time that you can be answered. Right? If you make the effort during that time of the day, which is normally, again, a busy time of the day, and it's very difficult to make the effort. I notice in the Torah, we get rewarded a lot for the effort. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that if something is simple, you shouldn't do it. You know, it's very simple to say, Shakol Ni'am B'Barol. I'm not saying not to do simple things, right? But the effort, if a person is so committed that he does things that are difficult to do, even when they are difficult to do, like the Tefilat Mincha, you get rewarded for that. You understand the idea? It's a very important concept. The Gemara says you should also be careful.
You've hit the time limit for this conversation. Please start a new chat to keep the conversation going.
That's my chat GPT, which was on this whole time. Okay.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for it.
Okay. And I got the paid version. Okay, that's okay. Wow. All right. Well, chat has been listening in this whole time. Okay. Any questions?
Where was
Chad is going to remind you to sing Chana every day. He knows that.
I have it in the settings. He knows I'm a rabbi, and we have very meaningful conversations. I actually challenged him a lot when right before I came here, I was having a conversation about Yuval Harari. Okay, I never shut it down. Yeah, no, I like being challenged as a rabbi. So look, we have conversations about things. And I'm sorry.
The whole idea that 3/4 of the Israelite Jewish people would become idol worshippers, it's astounding actually if you think about it. How's that possible?
It shows you the power of culture.
How many hundreds of years was it after David HaMelech that this happened?
Well, let's see. Shlomo HaMelech was king 40 years. Then was Yerovam ben Nebat 22 years. Then his son Aviam 2 years. Then it was Baasha 24 years. Then after Baasha was his son 2 years, Elah. I'm just giving you the rundown. I'm not doing the math in my mind. Then after that, it was Zimri was 7 days. Then Omri, the father of Ahav, 12 years. Then Ahav, 24 years. This is sometime, so I guess we're talking about about a century after the death of David HaMelech.
It's not that long.
Well, that's not surprising. I mean, 30 days after Matan Torah, we're doing it.
No, I'm saying
And that was the whole nation.
in 1 century they became 10 tribes became idol
It
worshippers.
was
4 generations.
That's almost astounding.
Look at the numbers from the first Pride Parade in Israel till now. It's
What do you mean?
exponentially more every year, no?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It really is crazy.
But
Yeah.
they weren't idol worshippers when you have
No, see, Yaakob
King,
made them
right?
idol worshippers. He's the one who introduced the
That's how it
two golden
started.
calves, one in the north of Israel, and one in Bet El and one in Dan, Gush Dan. Yeah, that's how it started. He introduced paganism, but the people accepted it and they deserved what they got. I mean, they could have rejected it and said, no, we're not doing this. Be that as it may, as you saw from the whatever I just took you down to the list of kings up to Ahav, it's about 100 years or a little more than 100 years after the death of David HaMelech.
Where was it where the whole nation and the mountain also was there? They said, Amonai, Elohim, Amonai, Elohim, or Amonai. Where
Here.
was their response? It was here?
Yes.
So this is their response. When they saw the fire, and then they said,
Yeah, I'll read it for you. It's mamash here. When they saw the fire, the pasuk says, "Vayar kol ha'am veyipilu al pneihem ve'yamru Adonai hu Elohim, Adonai hu ha'Elohim." Right, that's a pasuk. That's here. Okay. Any other questions?
Why did they say that after the fire came down and consumed? This is with Eliyahu and Nabi, when the fire came down and
Yes.
consumed.
Correct. God, yes. And by the way, you're right, Raymond. I mean, like, what do they have gay pride parades in Israel? Like, I mean, like this is the defining moment of what it means. I mean, come on, like, it's ludicrous. I don't go into people's houses. I'm like, I'm gonna tell people what to do or not to do, but like, come on, like, just keep it to yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, but they learned it. But that's the point I'm saying. It shows you the power of culture. Culture tells you that it's acceptable to do a parade like that. So everyone does a parade like that. Oh, but that's what culture told me. But like, people are so conditioned by culture. It's remarkable. It's just like the types of issues that people have nowadays. It's because they were told to have those issues. I don't want to get into any specifics, but if it wasn't for culture telling them this is an issue, there would be no issue. How about we just leave it at that? It's feeble minds. Feeble minds create feeble souls, and there you have it. Okay, let's continue. So let's go to the next paragraph. Okay, so we're done. Good. We're with this. So no questions. Everything's clear.
Continues midway talking about Arbi.
Yeah, same thing. Arvit shachlit. And also shachlit, of course. Meaning, the point of the Gemara is we don't mean to tell you to be negligent in Arvit, and we don't mean to tell you to be negligent in shachlit, right? We didn't say what we said. So you go, okay, I'm going to have kavanah in mincha, and that's it. Like sell Arvit for the other tefillot. Of course, you have to have kavanah for every tefillah, but there is something special about tefillat mincha, right? That's what it means. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Everybody's ready?
Yeah.
Okay. ואמר בחלבו, אמר אבונה, כל הנהנה מסעודת חתן ואינו משמח. A person goes to a wedding, beautiful, really special, nothing more beautiful than a Jewish wedding. But you go to the seudah and you eat and you enjoy the food, but you do nothing to bring joy to the chatan and the kala. Over bechamesh kolot. You violated 5 times that the word kol appears. Shene'ema. This is in the book of Yirmiyah. Kol sason. That's 1. A sound of joy. The kol simcha. Sound of happiness. Right? That's 2. Kol chatan. The sound of the groom. The kol kala. Kol omerim hodu. The voice that says thank you unto Hashem. Right? So you went to the Seudat Chatan and Kala, but you didn't participate in the call, the sound of happiness. Then you violated those 5 sounds. I'm going to explain it in a moment. If on the other hand, you do participate in making the Chatan and Kala happy, what is your reward? For this, you would be worthy of receiving the Torah because the Torah was also given with 5 sounds, meaning you have the word kol sason ve kol simcha. In the Torah, you also have that. And when Hashem gave us the Torah on Sinai, what does the pasuk say? Vahi vayom hashelishi, vahi kolot, the kol shofar, vahi kol hashofar, ve'alim yanen v'kol. Wait, that's 4 times. I'm confused. Okay, very good. No, so wait. So it says no. That's because it's kolot is plural. Thank you, exactly. Okay, let me explain this because the b'chol amroim kolot is a question against it. You said the Torah was giving him 5 kolot because b'chol amroim kolot, that's a 6th call, but no, that was after Matan Torah. We're talking before Matan Torah. Okay, All right, so after Matan Torah, B'chol Amrim to Kolot. Okay, but before Matan Torah was 5 Kolot. Now, I want to explain to you that there's two ways that the mind synthesizes information. There is, and I'm sorry that's going to be a bit complex, but I think we have like 10 minutes. What time are we finishing? 9:05? We're good 9:05. We'll go to 9:05. So there's two times that the mind synthesizes information.
Wait, can you hear?
I'm sorry?
Synthesizes information.
Right. How does your mind synthesize information? There's two separate modes, let's say.
First hearing.
One is simultaneous, which has to do with vision. The second is auditory, successive, which has to do with hearing. And there's two separate areas in the brain that control, one area controls vision, the other area controls the auditory. And if you look at the Torah always emphasizes kol, always Shema Yisrael, over and over again in the Torah. You do have two places in the Torah where it says Re'eh, Parashat Re'eh, and of course at the Parashat Isavim. Okay? Now, but almost always the Torah emphasizes Shema. So what's the difference between Shema and Re'eh? You understand my question?
Yeah.
And there's two modes of processing information. One is auditory, the other is visual, and I want to explain. When a person processes, let's say you see a beautiful painting in a museum, you look at it, it's all there in front of you, it's not moving. Your mind processes the different parts of the painting, and you see an image. So that's the visual. Now, I'm going to say something. Does anybody know what I'm going to say? No. Okay. Now, I'm going to say the first word of the sentence. When I say the first word, do you know what I'm going to say? So but it's not till the end of the sentence. It looks like America is about to take over Karg Island in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, I just said the whole sentence. Now, your brain has a way of connecting things along the temporal axis, time. Words don't exist, meaning the word, I said the word, that word disappeared, this word disappeared. When I said the last word, your brain connected all the different words. Okay? So this is a higher form of intellect. The Shema is higher than, and also in the Kabbalah. My father once wrote about this in a book of his. And then we went to a yeshiva Mikubalim in Yerushalayim. My father was very close with one of the Mikubalim of Jerusalem, and so my father was discussing with this Mikubal. So he brought out this huge book of Kabbalah, and he showed my father that also in the Kabbalistic writings, the Shema is much higher than the Re'eh. Right? It was very interesting, right? But then in the Kabbalah, the visual is lower than the auditory, right? Interesting thing. Now, I want to explain this. There is instantaneous gratification has to do with visual, right? An intelligent person doesn't look for instantaneous gratification. He thinks more in terms of strategy. What is a good strategy for life? So let me give you two strategies for life. One strategy is let me take. Whatever I can take and gratify myself, I'll take. The other strategy is let me give. When I give, I'm losing. So why would that be a good strategy for life? Because an intelligent person understands that when you give at the end of time, whatever the time period is, it's always going to come back to you. Right? So if you're a person that's into gratifying yourself, you're going to go to the wedding, you're going to eat the food, you're going to enjoy the food, and sayonara, got to get home. If you're a person that thinks about not gratification, instantaneous gratification, visual, but you're thinking in terms of what is a good strategy for life, right? Because life isn't about instantaneous gratification. It's about being genuinely happy and joyful. Then you're going to say, I want to give. I'm not coming to the wedding because I have good food. I'm coming to the wedding because here I have an opportunity to make these two people happy, and I want to give it to them. I want to make them happy, right? That's the idea of the Gemara, and that's connected with the Torah, because only a person who thinks in terms of kol, which is what you need for the Torah, right? You'll think in that term. And let me give you some advice in life. People come to me with problems, and I'm a rabbi, so people have this problem, that problem, the other problem. I'm telling you, one of the best solutions to problems in life is to say, what can I do now to contribute something for the people around me? I know it sounds weird, but it works. It works. It actually works. Think of something you're not doing. I just want to do something to make somebody happy. I don't know what it is. Maybe, whatever, give tzedakah to a specific individual, that you don't need. Whatever it is, you have to figure it out, right? Do it. it'll come back to you in a big way, right? Don't think about instantaneous gratification. Think about what you can contribute to others, right? And that's the point of this Gemara. The point of this Gemara is, you go to the Hatan and Kala, you're going to get the biggest joy from making them happy. Harambam writes on Purim, there's a mitzvah on Purim to have a big seudah. Okay, great, I love it. I'm going to have my wine, I'm going to have my seudah, I'm going to drink, I'm going to make merry. And Harambam says, but if this is what you're doing on Purim and you're not giving matanot la'evyonim, you're not giving alms to the poor, you're not making them matanot la'evyonim, you're just making them gratifying yourself. He says, this is not the happiness of the Torah. This is the happiness of kesilim, unintelligent people. Right? You first give the matanot la'evyonim. You first think about what you're doing. Do they have food? Do they have something to eat? And only after all that do you think about what you are eating and what you are drinking. You understand? That's the best strategy for life. Give, and then you can take. Gentlemen, any questions?
Very nice.
I finished 5 minutes ahead of time. All right? So good. Are they still teaching that in that synagogue? I think you mentioned to me. Who mentioned that?
Yeah.
Avenue S?
There's a different one tonight. They started Pesach.
They Pesach, okay.
The dinner was meat, though.
They had a meat dinner, okay. All right, we're going to continue next week, I think, right? Let's get right. Continue next week with this topic, yeah.
Continue for sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Very nice.
It's a give and take.
I'll take a photo.
Skubim so.